Yo, what's up? This is JC Audits. I'm a very intelligent man and I'm going to review the Model S. I've got more intelligence than you. I am not autistic. I'm one of those few intelligent people that aren't. I do admit that I'm evolved from a great ape, and that, yeah, that the most common form of transport for humans is cars, that we need roads. So, electric cars, more and more people are buying them. They're worth buying, especially if you've got a charging point at home. The reason why I'm doing this review is because I've seen other reviews online and I don't like them. A lot of them talk for 20 minutes about trim. So this is going to be about the used Model S market and why you should buy a Model S. I'm not blind. I just look like Stevie Wonder. I'm going like this a lot. Okay, so the Model S, reasons why you'd want to buy them: free supercharging, number one; number two, a luxurious vehicle, practical vehicle, you can sleep in it technically; number three, the prestige of owning a Tesla; number four, the performance; and lastly, number five, the environment. So I'm not going to touch on all those points because I think you know what I'm talking about when I talk about that. However, the one issue that I will talk about that's not on that list a little bit more is the maintenance. So what is it like owning an aged Tesla? So I've been driving a Tesla for a number of years. I won't tell you how many, but let's say it's over one. I've been doing regular trips to Asda, and I'm buying my shopping and coming back home. I'm also a championship winning driver in the Tesla. So I've pushed this car to its limits. I've not broken it yet. I've tried to break it. It's not broken. Oh, tell a lie. I got it to break twice. However, it was under warranty. Big ticket items are batteries. So you're looking at 2025 prices around 10k a pop for a new battery, the drive batteries. As for the 12 volt batteries, they're probably 100 quid a pop. Don't buy the ones from Halfords. Get Tesla to do it. That's just simply my opinion. You can do what you want to do. Other issues are the door handles. Typically people say if the door handle's out, it's the harnesses. If they don't come out, it's the cogs, so the gear. And I wouldn't repair them yourself. Don't repair them yourself. Don't go to Tesla either, and don't go to the likes of, let's say, well-known EV resellers and maintenance people. Look for the small companies that will give you a guarantee, obviously do the work professionally, and go for them. Ring around. I think there's quite a few in Manchester. Also, known issues on Model S's are the windscreen wipers eating away the bonnet. Once they start eating into the metal, you really do need to do something about it. Otherwise, you'll end up with a single wiper conversion. Yeah, and MOT failure. So, again, you could ask Tesla to do this, but I wouldn't. I'd also go for independent garages that are looking to make their name in the EV maintenance department. Obviously shop around, but if you're pressed for time and you're very good, I've heard of people doing it themselves, but I don't recommend it. You're moving a structural part in the car, a strut brace, which, hey, some people can do, but I would not advise it at all. Now, of course, if you're a trained mechanic, an experienced mechanic, That's slightly different. I would have a go at that job. If you're a automotive electrician, an experienced one, I would look at doing the door handles yourself. But if you're the everyday Joe, do not do the door handles yourself. Do not do the windscreen wipers, arms rubbing on the bonnet problem fix yourself. What other problems to look out on the Model S? You'd get headlight failure. You'd get the yellowing of the DRLs, the daytime running lights, depending on which version you've got. The earlier versions don't suffer DRL yellowing, neither does the newest Model S. Replacing the HID bulb on the older Model S nose cone version, aka koala version, that can be done yourself by removing some of the wheel arch lining and replacing the actual bulb. That's possible to do yourself, but again, and taking off the wheel, again, do it if you've got a day to spare and you're kind of handy with your hands, but you don't have to be a mechanic for that. And you want to save a bit of money, you can go for that. Otherwise, of course, Tesla is the option for that. What other things can go wrong with the car? Bits of trim falling off, both interior and not exterior. The trim doesn't, well, actually, no, it does sometimes get a little bit loose. Some of the plasticky bits around the car. Yeah, I'm not going to talk a whole lot about trim and leather and stuff like that. I'll leave that to the other wonderful channels out there that want to talk about fingerprints and other things like patina on leather and stuff like that. I think you know which channels I mean. What else? I should talk about free supercharging, so I'll talk about that. A lot of you interested in buying a Model S because of the free supercharging. If you're wondering whether it's got free supercharging, don't rely on the advert. If it doesn't mention free supercharging, still look for it. And if it says it's got free supercharging, still check it out. How to check it out? So one way is to go press the car icon on the main screen, and then you're looking to go to charging, and you should see either current session or and it should say £0 and 0 pence, as in 0.00, and that should be an indicator that there's free supercharging on the vehicle. Another way, let me just check to see if this does work. Yeah, I believe the other way is actually on the app. So you go to the Tesla app, which I'm going to do right now. Go to the Tesla app. Of course, you can't then... This is for when you own it, so that's going to be no use if you've bought it. But you can get the owner then to show you on their app. Open their app up, and then go to, let's have a look, specs and warranty. It's basically scroll down to the bottom, and it will say, yeah, right at the bottom, it should then say free unlimited supercharging. Sometimes they might not choose to have that on there because the specs wording often changes. It's possible that they get rid of it, but the main thing to check is on the vehicle itself, like I've already explained. Free supercharging, there's different versions. You know, people say you know it's only for older cars. Yeah, I mean, I think it ended around 2017 in terms of cars manufactured around 2017. However, that's not exactly the case, because the newest Model S went through a phase of if you had an old Model S with free supercharging, you could transfer it. I think the SC01 free supercharging could be transferred onto the new Model S. And currently, as of 2025, the new Model S's, not the certified pre-owned Teslas, but the new Model S's, which of course are left-hand drive in the UK, they have free supercharging for the account, the owner. So it's not for life locked to the VIN, it's just locked to the account holder. So what else can I say about why you should buy a Model S? Model S's, premium feel. You got the dual screen, which the Model 3, the Model Y don't have, as I understand it. They don't have that dual screen to the front, so you've got to look slightly left to get the speed. Of course, there are different versions of Model S, but we're largely talking about the used market. Lots of bargains to be had. Let's go back onto problems. So I've talked about a few of the electronic problems. I've talked about the door handles, the windscreen wipers. And I've also not talked about the screen. So the screen can be, can yellow a bit and can peel a bit. That can be fixed, relatively easily with a service centre visit. Don't do it yourself. I mentioned the headlights, high voltage battery. Can you drive through water? Well, I've driven through very large puddles before with no issues, I believe. What else can you notice about the car? The facelift version may look nice. The old version may look nice as well. May have a more classic look on it with the chrome. You can make an old version look like a new one, a newer facelift version. If you want to, you can have a few mods on the car. Some people install noise machines on their car. Of course, the newer Teslas have a sound to them that's engineered to warn pedestrians that they're coming, and the older ones don't as such. Performance, even the slow Teslas are quite good. Plaid, I believe, is the fastest Plaid, with about, I think, 0 to 60 of under 2 seconds. I would buy a Tesla. I think the question of whether you're going to buy it from a dealer or a private person is something to consider. Obviously, you buy it from a private person, You can't buy it on finance, so that's an issue for some that don't have 60 grand or 50 grand or 20 grand available. Of course, 60 grand would get you a Plaid. 20 grand would get you a very decent Model S. They can get all the way down to about 10 grand as of 2025. Other maintenance issues are suspension components. I think the back holds out pretty well, but they need to be changed as well. You've got, I think there's 12 components, suspension components, that can be changed on the front side of the Tesla. If you like the front two wheels, 12 in total. You've got tie rod ends. And I think you've got 2 tie rod ends per wheel. You've got the aka bongos. You've got the anti-roll bar, or drop links, anti-roll drop links that come off the anti-roll bar. So that's 3 already per wheel, and then you got the upper suspension parts. I don't know what that's called again. And you got the lower 2 suspensions parts, the fore and the aft suspensions parts. So that's 6 per wheel on the front. So yeah, worth getting this swapped out. There's some great deals online. Give me a message if you need to know what those links are. I'll try and find those for you. Any mechanic can fit those that isn't scared. Any mechanic. You don't need to go to an EV mechanic for that. You could even get your friend who is a mechanic to do it on the street. Those suspension components. The one big warning thing is with some of the Model S's, because they were installed in the factory, you might need to cut through the bolts and insert the bolt in the other way, because the battery would stop you from taking the bolt out. So just bear that in mind. If you're replacing the front components, you might need to cut a bolt. We've cut that bolt on the street, me and my mechanic mate. However, you obviously need to bear that in mind if you're ordering new suspension components. Speak to Tesla and order the bolts as well, and obviously speak to them nicely, and they'll tell you which bolts to buy. What else? Yeah. Oh yeah, obviously when you replace suspension parts, get a tracking done, at least the front done, the tracking done, because your tracking will be out and your autopilot won't work until you've sorted the tracking out. What else can I tell you? Problems with the Model S. Your mats, yeah, my mats never stay on very well, so yeah, find a good way of getting mats to stay. Isofix is great. Yeah, next generation seats. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much experience of them. I think it's great if you're the Hunchback of Notre Dame, then your head will be supported forward like that, because you've got a pillow on the head that comes out. What else have we got? Just thinking. No, I think that's pretty much it. We've got another 10 minutes to talk about stuff. Okay, so how about I talk more about performance aspect, because I am a award-winning, championship winning racing driver in the Model S Tesla, and there's only one of me that's done that. I was the first, and I may be the last in this country to win a race that is a drag race. I am the winner. Okay, there might be some in the future, but currently, as of 2025, I'm the most decorated Tesla driver in the whole of the UK in terms of drag racing. So I have really pushed this car to the limits. So what happens when you push the car to the limits? So, okay, you fast DC charge a Tesla, you're going to damage the battery a little bit over time versus just plugging it in at home. Also, probably lots of fast accelerations and charging to 100% and dropping it down to almost zero. All this is going to put strains on the battery, suspension components, drivetrain components, half shafts at the front, all that kind of thing. However, in my opinion, the Tesla is meant to be driven hard. It's not meant to be, just taken to Asda every day. You're meant to drive these cars hard. They've got a tolerance for this kind of thing, in my opinion. So if that's your way of driving, you should drive like that and really go for it. The preheating of the battery potentially also leads to further degradation. So things like ludicrous mode plus Ludi plus, where you're preheating the battery, you've got greater battery degradation. But in my opinion, you really need to push this car. And so what you might see if you do Ludi plus, you will see, let me just do that now, Ludi plus, you'll say heating, it will say heating and then estimated and the amount of time it takes to heat. But when you are pushing the car so very, very hard, instead of heating, you would see cooling. And yeah, what else? Upgrades. Okay, so let me just talk about some of the upgrades. So an autopilot and stuff like that. I mean, what's the things to look out of and for, and what should you have? What kind of autopilot? So let's talk about the autopilot. So there's a few types of autopilot. Some Teslas, the early ones, Model S's, didn't have the autopilot. They're disgusting in my opinion. Teslas should have some kind of autopilot. Then the next autopilot uses is it a Mobileye or something like that? System which the owner of Tesla then didn't choose to carry on with the deal with them, and so that got binned, and they started installing cameras and did away with the Mobileye radar system altogether. In my experience, I've driven the Plaid, I've driven standard Teslas with just cameras, and I've also driven the Teslas with just radars. In my experience, the cameras with the Teslas with radars were more stable. However, of course, if you're driving a Plaid, you know that it's a beast. And I don't know if you can turn off the level of nannying in terms of the acceleration being limited in daily driving. So, if there's other traffic around, because obviously you're driving a Plaid around, you've got so many electronic eyes that don't want you to hit other cars. So my view is that the highway autopilot package, which is the mobile, it's basically the lowest level of autopilot. It could be the Mobileye system, but it might also be some of the camera autopilot system. Let's see if I can see which one I've got. But anyway, so software, Autopilot 1, and then that goes to maybe 2.5 or whatever, and it goes quite high. So all this kind of thing will help you if there's an autopilot. So I don't think the subsequent autopilots are any good, really. I mean, I don't think that they'll be self-driving in a sort of private Tesla. I don't think that's going to be possible. I don't think it's going to be allowed in the UK as well, on all roads. So I think it's just marketing. But that said, if you have a car with full self-drive, FSD they call it, then you might feel smug about that, but I don't think it's got any practical application at all. Definitely in the UK, so I would not bother with or be too het up about FSD, although you might see some nice graphics. It's just, so the older Teslas, they can get CCS adapter support, which is some of the new Tesla superchargers use CCS plugs. So that's an upgrade worth doing. You can also upgrade your infotainment screen if you need to. If it doesn't have Netflix and YouTube, probably a good idea if you're charging to have that. However, if you upgrade to the new infotainment systems, then you can no longer upgrade the battery. You can no longer hack the car, basically. So you can't jailbreak the car if you know what I mean, if you've got a newer entertainment system. That's the only thing. We should talk about, in the last 1 minute and a half, the rear motor unit. So the rear motor unit, if it's a small one, it's fine. If it's a large motor unit, some cars, some rear wheel drive have the large ones, and some dual motor Model S's have the large one. If they're early, like I think all Model S's perhaps have this problem. I don't know about the Plaid, but definitely all Model S's that are sport Model S's with the large induction rear motor, large motor, it could be prone to leaking, the seals leaking, and the coolant starting to flow around and leak out and stuff like that. So my opinion about coolant deletes, don't do it. That's just my opinion. Better to drive the car often, and I mean, if you can check for leakage, do it, but just don't otherwise. That's pretty much it. Enjoy the Tesla. This is JC Audits with your Tesla Model S review. Buy a Tesla now. Link in the bottom if you want to get it cheap.